Welcome to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome inside the KDKA TV studios. It is week number 7 of the NFL season. The Steelers are off, but we are not. Bob Pompeani here with the quarterback of the show, Mr. Charlie Batch. And we have a lot to talk about in this game. When you think about it, 2 quarterbacks, combined ages of 81. I mean, they carved out defenses much like we would carve a Halloween pumpkin. And I didn't see that coming. But, Charlie, what was your biggest takeaway from that game, 33-31 loss to Cincinnati?
Yeah, this one here, this is a tough one because the Steelers, after watching that film, they are kicking themselves right now as they are relaxing and ultimately watching everybody else perform here today. That was one game that they had to get and missed opportunity.
Desperate team with Cincinnati, and they showed it in that game. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of the game. And again, we saw a lot of long plays here. We also saw this time and time again, slant patterns. That's Joe Flacco, who played ridiculously well to T. Higgins for a 29-yard touchdown. And then 3rd and 18, how about this throw by Aaron Rodgers? Gets protection, lays it up, Pat Freiermuth. That's a lot of coverage right there, but he beat it. He hangs on, the first of 2 on the night, so the Steelers are back in this one. 30-24, 2nd and 20. Rodgers finding time, and again, it's Freiermuth, who was not being targeted at all, really, in the first several games of the season. He had a big one, 2 catches over 100 yards, and the Steelers had the lead. But then Flacco just continued to do what he did. Pick on Jamar Chase, who had 23 targets, 16 receptions. That one led to the game-winning field goal. And this is McPherson putting it away, 33-31. Your final. And let's take a look at some of the stats inside that game, and you can see some big numbers there, especially with rushing yards for the Bengals, something they haven't done a lot of. What stands out to you on that list there, Charlie?
Yeah, just looking at the passing yards there, 328 yards. This is the reason why you wanted to revamp that secondary, because of the matchup that this created here with the Bengals, and unfortunately, you let Flacco throw for over 300.
They certainly did, and there were big plays all over the place. Rich Walsh was in Cincinnati. He had to go into that locker room after him. It was not a happy place to be after that 33-31 loss.
So as good as the Steelers have been after bye weeks, they were equally as bad on short weeks, especially Thursday night road games, and specifically ones against division opponents. The Steelers lose another one, and it wasn't a fun locker room after that defensive collapse in Cincinnati.
I mean, it is what it is. Obviously, wish we came out with a W. It's always about the team first, and you know, proud of how the guys fought throughout the whole game, but doesn't really mean much since, you know, we didn't win.
What is it about Thursday nights with you guys? Can you put your finger on it?
No, I mean, we just got to execute better and, you know, come out with a win.
Yeah, it sucks, but, you know, it's in the past now. We just got to go to look at the film whenever we come in and just build, get better. You know, it's still early in the season. Nothing's out of reach. We're still in position to do what we want to do, so we just got to go back to work and get better. It's that simple.
We had a chance to really open up some space, but we're 4-2, still first in the division. Got a couple, you know, home games coming up, back-to-back, another Sunday night opportunity against my former team. So I'm not going to ride the roller coaster, and I know Mike isn't, and hopefully you guys follow suit.
The one positive you can take away from Thursday night's game, despite disappointment, there wasn't any panic in that locker room after the game. There's still a lot of season left and time to figure it out, and most importantly, they still have control of the division.
All right, Rich, thanks. That they do. They're 4-2, so 2 home games, as Aaron Rodgers said, coming up. And it's interesting, he noted, against one of his former teams. That seems to bring out the best in him. But let's talk about Joe Flacco. Charlie, you've been in this position before. But here he is at age 40, still in a new system. I was highly impressed with what he's been able to do. If you saw the Green Bay game the week before, he didn't have much in the first half. But once he gained some steam and some plays with those 2 talented receivers, you can tell it was going to be a big marriage for them.
Yes, it was. And then he already had the game experience because of his time there in Cleveland. He just needed to understand the verbiage. And you can start to see that happen in the second half of that Green Bay game. And that carried into what you saw here on Thursday night. The challenge for him was going to be now how expansive, how are they going to expand that offense to get him to push the ball down the field? Obviously, he answered that question, and that was one of those things to where it didn't matter what the defense was trying to do coverage-wise. It looked like he was always one step ahead of them.
He really was. He was accurate, and they didn't really get to him all game long. Let's bring in Gerry Dulac, our insider from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And, Gerry, this season the Steelers have given up 19 plays now of 20 yards or more. So you looked at this game and see 23 targets to Jamar Chase. How did that happen, and what did the Steelers have to do to make that not happen again?
Well, Bob, what happened to start was that the Steelers allowed the Bengals to run the ball, and once they did that, now the Steelers had to put more players in the box And what that did was open up some of those passing lanes. Look, I talked to some of the coaches. They believe the problem is fixable. They saw this happen in the first game against the New York Jets when they ran for 182 yards and it opened up passing lanes for Justin Fields. But whether it's fixable or not, it has to be concerning, not alarming, but concerning, because this is the reason why you brought in Jalen Ramsey. This is the reason you brought in Darius Slay, to pair them with Joey Porter Jr. 33 targets by the Bengals, only 3 pass defense by their 2 cornerbacks. And then we saw 4 pass interference penalties total. Not a very good test for their first time against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, that's right, Jerry. Charlie, I'm going to ask you about the scheme in this game. To me, I thought they were going to go after a 40-year-old quarterback who's not necessarily as mobile as he used to be. You didn't get much pressure there, and Jerry mentioned the run game. I understand all of that, but how did you see this scheme playing out? What did you expect coming in, and what did you not see in that game?
Yeah, because of the threat of those receivers for the Bengals there, they didn't want to get beat over the top. So what happens? You play soft coverage, and they're hitting a lot of those slant routes, and Flacco is able to deliver the football on time because you don't have to worry about pressure, and that ultimately showed up. The thing that concerns me right now is the breakdowns from a communication perspective late in the game. We saw that against the Vikings when that big play happened when Jordan Addison and obviously Peyton Wilson tracked him down. That was a miscommunication, and it happened again on the biggest play of the night whenever Jamar Chase was coming left to right. They're trying to change the coverage, and all of a sudden they busted it for an easy completion to get them in the field goal range.
Lots of slant patterns, and they couldn't keep up with those throughout the course of the game. All right, it's very interesting how this goes. You talk about an enigma. This would be it. Thursday night blues here from Mike Tomlin. Now look at the record overall against AFC North. And you'll see that 675 win percentage, but away on Thursday, it's 0-0-0, which is crazy to think. So when we come back, we're going to talk about positives, but also what went wrong. More in depth on that, and then we'll talk about some of the good things that happened in that game as the Steelers await the Green Bay Packers next Sunday night. We'll be back with more on Steelers BetMGM Kickoff.
Welcome back to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
Week 7 started very positively for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They jumped out to a lead. They held Cincinnati to 2 punts in their first 2 drives. And then after that, everything changed radically. And take a look at these drives, Charlie, because at the end of the game, they had 7 of their last 8 possessions turned into points after the 2 punts that we talked about, and 6 in a row in that situation. I mean, how do you explain all of that?
That is troublesome right there, because that is a complete surprise, because there's no way, especially coming after those first 2 series, that you would have saw that happening.
Yeah, the defense, they didn't have any answers afterwards.
I think they were getting the ball out pretty quick all night. Good amount of max protection, but even then, it seemed like the ball was coming out pretty quickly. We saw it last year in Indy. I think it's something that we knew he was capable of. Obviously, when you play that long, you're able to get through your reads quick, and need to be able to stop them.
We played these guys a bunch. We double-teamed them some. We double-teamed 5 some. It's a mix. A mix is required. They got depth and talent. Just like the one play 80 made down the middle, we were doubling them both, and they were one-on-one in that circumstance. And so, there's many ways you can analyze it, but the bottom line is they made more plays than we did.
Quick game, got to get your hands up. And if it's quick game, we got to be better on our drives. We got to recognize what formation they're telling us and be able to break, trust his eyes, and go make a play.
All right, Charlie, considering the last couple of games we saw, certainly the one in Ireland, the one here against the Browns, many people thought the Steelers had this whole thing figured out. They go into this game with another backup quarterback, albeit Joe Flacco. I mean, how did they accomplish what they wanted to do? How surprised were you that they were able to generate this many points?
Yeah, I was definitely surprised, especially with the addition of Harmon coming back. They were trending in the right direction, and unfortunately, that didn't resonate in this particular game. And I don't know if it was, the offensive line, and maybe you're taking them lightly, but again, they were able to control that line of scrimmage up front.
The other thing, as Jerry mentioned earlier, was the run game. I mean, we had not seen numbers for Cincinnati all year. They were struggling. Their offensive line had struggled. And this puts it into perspective. Weeks 1 through 6, 57 yards on average. That's 3.1. And all of a sudden, in this game specific to Chase Brown, he just ripped him. 9.8 specifically for him, 142 and a 6.2 yards per carry. How does that happen and how do they fix it?
Yeah, a lot of it, some of that is scheme, because there were a lot of times on there they had 2 defensive linemen out there, and that's where it looked like Cincinnati was taking advantage of in the run game, because they were gaining 4 or 5 yards before they actually were getting touched. That's going to turn around. That has to get corrected in a hurry, because you're now facing a team with Green Bay that loves to put nickel personnel or 3 tight ends, not 3 tight ends, but 3 receivers and 1 tight end on that field. So this is going to be something that the Steelers have to address in a hurry.
Now, Jerry, let's talk about that run game from your perspective, too, because we saw, as you mentioned at the beginning of the season, they could not stop the run, but they seem to have changed that in the last 2 games, and all of a sudden it went back to this. What was the basic problem from your point of view?
Yeah, fellas, you talk about it trending in the right direction, and it was, because you look at the previous 2 games, Steelers had only allowed 135 yards rushing. This game they allow 142 against a team that was the worst rushing offense in the league. And so what happens, to Charlie's point, the Steelers play more sub-package defense than any team in the National Football League. So they come out against a run-lightly team with 2 defensive linemen in their sub-package because they want to protect against the pass. And then all of a sudden they get gouged against the run. We heard Cam Hayward say after the game he takes the blame for what happened in the secondary. Part of that is true, but unless they change that scheme and play a little bit more base package, they're 34, then teams are going to continue to do that unless they find some way to stop it.
And they've had some extra time this week to get that done. I'm sure it'll be a busy week over at the Southside facility. Let's talk about the leading tacklers in this game, because Deshaun Elliott looked like he may not play at the start of the week, but he did get in there and play, and he led the way. Then it's Holcomb along with Ramsey, Wilson, and Porter. I noticed snap counts were a little different in this. So we did not see a lot of Nick Herbig, which I thought we would, given the fact that, they want to put pressure on Joe Flacco.
Yeah, they were trying to get on the rush. But again, Alex Highsmith, this is his position right now. And Nick Herbig is earning those reps more and more. But again, I think a lot of it came down to circumstances throughout the course of the game while Herbig's snaps were limited.
Yeah, the other thing is time of possession. It has not been in the Steelers' favor all season long, and that has to change as well. We'll take a break. When we come back, there were some positives in this game. We're going to talk about what went right. And there was a lot on that offense led by that man, Aaron Rodgers. It's all coming up as we continue right here live on KDKA.
Welcome back to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
We roll along here live at KDKA TV studios. Bob Pompeani, Charlie Batch, and Gerry Dulac with you on this day. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers as we present our quarterback analysis brought to you by Cleveland Brothers. And, Charlie, when you look at a guy like this, 4 touchdown passes, all 4 goes to tight ends in an interesting display of, looking around and finding all those guys. Let's talk about what he does to extend plays, because in this game we saw it. He used his mobility, what is left, to make things happen.
Yeah, a lot of people on the outside are surprised, but again, he's 2 years removed from that Achilles injury, and anytime you have a major injury, that second year is always better. And watching him from day 1 of training camp, he's been moving around right, left, and now it's showing up in game. So mobility is not an issue. One thing you should be afraid of is him being able to extend plays. And early in this season, he has proved that, and I promise you, pass rushers are paying attention to that.
And he's definitely withstood a tackle from Broderick Jones at the end of that play right there, so that was something that was interesting to see. Hyundai by the numbers, and normally we talk about looking at schedules. We're going to do this one by the numbers, all-time NFL passing yards, and you can see that right now Aaron Rodgers has moved ahead of Ben Roethlisberger. Should make you appreciate what Roethlisberger did here in Pittsburgh, but it's interesting to have 2 guys that Steelers fans have had a chance to see, 2 of the top 6 right here in Pittsburgh.
It really is, and when you look at Aaron, congratulations for passing Ben Roethlisberger, and really to see Ben up there, especially when they were a run-heavy offense early in his career, being able to finish as he retired in the top 5. But Aaron Rodgers, proven Hall of Famer. This guy is great to see him having fun again, and that smile was genuine because he's truly out there believing in having fun.
And he's playing at a very high level, no doubt. So is Jaylen Warren. Jerry, I want to get you back into this, talking about the run game with him. And every time he touches the ball, it looks like he could break one. But I thought he could have had more carries in this game. Your thought on him, and it looks like a wise move for them to extend him when they did.
Well, Bob, I think part of what was happening is they saw the Bengals kept the way they kept scoring, and they had to counter that with a number of throws, especially in the 4th quarter. But there's no question how good Jaylen Warren has been. He's the ideal 3-down back. The guy can run the ball, he can catch the ball, and he can pass protect. You look at his career average. It's 4.4 yards. It's 4.8 yards already this season. It's It's one of the reasons why the Steelers moved on from Najee Harris. Arthur Smith always liked Jaylen Warren. They like his vision. That was one of the knocks against Najee Harris. It's why they let him go. It's why they gave Jaylen Warren the one-year tender, and it's the reason why they extended him. He's a very affordable back for 3 years at $5.6 million a year.
It also goes to show you can get these guys as undrafted. A lot of them make their way into the NFL, and he's been driven by that undrafted status. All right, Gerry, thanks. Another positive thing was the emergence of Pat Freiermuth. When you think about it, he did something not many Steeler tight ends have done, Charlie, dating back, I don't know how many years we're talking about, but L.B. Nickel was the last guy who had over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in one game from all the tight ends the Steelers have used. Pretty good day. What was the difference, other than the fact that he had great career numbers in Cincinnati?
Yes, he does. And obviously, week 2, it seemed like he slipped into that doghouse for whatever reason. But, man, it was good to see him out there again, going over 100 yards. And, yes, we look at that from the passing perspective, but if you go back and watch film, this guy made key blocks on several of Jaylen Warren's runs. So it's good to see him now back involved, and hopefully now we're going to see him more in the mix as we move forward this season.
No question about it. All right, we're just getting started here following this program. As always, it's the NFL Today on CBS. James Brown is standing by with a preview. JB.
Hey, Bob, up next on the NFL Today, we've got AFC West action coming your way. That's when the Raiders visit the Chiefs in Kansas City. We'll preview that one. Then the guys discuss where your Steelers stand among the other division leaders. Before the game, we get a chance to chop it up with Chiefs star Chris Jones. And your Hall of Fame coach Bill Cowher breaks down the dangerous Denver Broncos D. But first, Bob and Charlie, they'll be right back. That's when Steelers Kickoff continues right here on KDKA.
Steelers Kickoff is presented by McClellan's Contracting and Roofing. If our name goes on it, we stand behind it, so you can stand in it.
Last night was a very big night. Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame brought in 12 new members, and one of them is seated right over here. Congratulations, Charlie Batch. Appreciate that.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
You had a big list of people over there. Michael Moore, Dave Pallone, who's a harness racing guy. You also had Sean Casey, Swin Cash, many more. Michael Moore and Charlie Batch, too.
It was awesome. I'm truly appreciative of everyone there at the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame, and it was truly an honor to be a part of such a great group of people that were going in. Getting a chance to rub elbows with Michael Moore, Menneson's finest, and ultimately Sean Casey, and you see Swin Cash there, one of my favorites there, as I've known her for years. So when you get that opportunity like that, believe me, you don't take it for granted. And I just want to thank everybody who's been a part of this journey for me.
It's about making an impact in sports and also in the community. And you're a Hall of Famer there, too. And you have a big event. Mark it down November the 13th. Tell us about it.
Yes, November 13th. This is our annual fundraiser that we have for Best of the Batch Foundation. And we call this In the Pocket with Charlie Batch. We have pool, poker, ping pong. And this year we are adding cornhole to the equation. So get a chance for fans to compete against local celebrities, and bragging rights are at stake. So this year we are having it Thursday, November 13th. We are doing it at the Distillery Complex. All information is right there. You see the QR code on your screen, but also you can go to batchfoundation.org. You'll be able to see all of the information, and we are just truly appreciative of everybody who supports the mission and vision of Best of the Batch Foundation.
You guys have done it well. Congratulations. Looking forward to that event. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Steelers' road ahead, and it gets a little tougher for them. We'll get into that and more as we continue right here on KDKA.
Welcome back to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
All right, let's look ahead a little bit. This is our South College game plan here. We don't have a game today, but they got a plan on these games coming up next Sunday. And as bad as the Steelers have been on Thursday, they dominate Sunday night. Packers come here. Then the Colts, the red hot Danny Dimes at Chargers and Bengals. How do you see it breaking down?
2 of these 4, when the season came out, or schedule came out, you thought this is a cakewalk. But right now, as you look at this is going to be 4 critical games that you have, 2 at home, 2 away. They have to figure out a way to get all of these.
And, Jerry, they have 3 tough quarterbacks coming up in a row. Your take?
Yeah, Bob, 3 of their next 4 games are at home, 4 of their next 6 are at home, but 5 of those teams have winning records, and the one who doesn't are the Bengals, who already beat you. So it's a tough stretch coming up for them. The Ravens had their tough stretch. Now the Steelers have theirs, and it's going to be a big moment, big key for them heading into December. We know what's happened then in the past.
Yeah, and the Ravens 1-5 coming off a bye week. We'll see if that helps them out. All right, let's talk about our schedule here today, because it's not as crowded as it normally is for us. We have a lot of shows, but with no Steeler game, that changes. Coming up today, it's the NFL Today on CBS. Raiders and Chiefs. That'll be at 1 o'clock. We wrap everything up tonight, 10:30 on the nightly sports call. That's on KDK Plus. Then at 11:35 KDK TV. It's the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. We got a lot of stuff to talk about on that program as well. And now some of the games you might be interested in checking out here. The Dolphins and Browns. Generally, that's not a good game, but that's a team in their division, so you got to watch that one. Raiders, Chiefs. I said at 1 o'clock coming up on KDKA. How about the Colts and Chargers? 2 upcoming opponents, 2 good quarterbacks going at it. Packers and Cardinals later today, but no Kyler Murray in that game. That's going to do it for us. For Rich Walsh, Gerry Dulac, Charlie Batch, I'm Bob Pompeani. Thanks for joining us. Have a good game day. We'll see you again tonight on KDKA TV.